Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypherbox, and I'm going to talk about James Degale. James Degale just did an interview. It was in boxingscene.com where he talks about George Groves and basically saying that he would love to fight George Groves again, but he feels he doesn't need that fight. He doesn't need George Groves, basically. As you know, George Groves has got a fight this weekend. He's putting up his WBA title against Jamie Cox in the World Boxing Super Series. If he wins that fight, he goes on to the semi-finals where he will meet Chris Eubank Jr. Now, Degale's been out injured for a while since the Badou Jack fight. He's been unable to compete. He's looking to come back next year, and he says he wants a busy year. So the point I'm going to say here is that whether James Degale feels he needs him or not, you know, that's irrelevant, because in my eyes he does need him. If George Groves beats Jamie Cox and then goes on to beat Chris Eubank Jr. and wins the tournament, you know, he'll pick up an IBO belt as well. In my opinion, and say Callum Smith is the guy he beats in the final, that's the WBC diamond belt there, which will be up for grabs, I'm sure, as well. So this whole box, you know, the World Boxing Series, you know, it'll consolidate a lot of the belts. Now, James Degale, as much as he wants to say he doesn't need him, he will need him if that was to happen, because that would be the biggest fight at super middleweight. It would be James Degale against George Groves. So I see what he's saying. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're bitter rivals. You know, if you're a British boxing fan, you'll know what I'm on about. These guys are being at each other's throats since the amateurs. You know, obviously Degale lost in the pros to George Groves on decision some years ago, and he's talking about, yeah, you know, he would love to avenge that loss, but he doesn't feel he needs George Groves. Well, kind of think you do, because if I lost to, you know, a fierce rival like George Groves, for example, and I was in James Degale's shoes, I would want to avenge that loss. So in a sense, you kind of do need him. I like James Degale. I think he's a good boxer. Again, I've said before in my last video about George Groves, I think George Groves is also another good British boxer as well. Both of them very talented. The first fight was a really good fight. I think, you know, the build up to this, and the build up to that fight was great as well, and I think the build up for this fight will be great. But in terms of him saying that he doesn't need James Degale, I personally feel he does need James. In terms of he doesn't need George Groves, I think he does. I think every, you know, good boxer, great boxer, whatever has, you know, the key to that is to have a good rival, and he has that with George Groves. And, you know, if they have another fight, it could be remembered as, you know, one of the best British rivalries in British boxing history. So in a sense, that I feel they both need each other. But that's providing George Groves can get through the World Boxing Super Series. Then that opens up the doors for a rematch between these two. So, you know, George Groves got a lot on his shoulders, I would say. You know, he's got to beat Jamie Cox, which I think he will do. Then he's got to go on and beat Chris Eubank Jr., which I believe Chris Eubank Jr. is probably a little bit that I give him the edge. I favour him over George Groves. But then he has to beat Chris Eubank Jr. and then go to the finals and then beat potentially someone like Callum Smith, etc. You know, not an easy route to pick up a series of belts and then make a fight with James Degale. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Like I said, you know, super middleweight division, this tournament's definitely opened things up and made it exciting and quite intriguing to see how it all works out and pans out. Don't forget, if Chris Eubank Jr. wins it all, he'll be going after James Degale, because, you know, Chris Eubank Jr., he's got that. He's got beef with James Degale as well. You know, rumours of sparring. You know, where Chris Eubank Jr. apparently owned James Degale in sparring, and he was so furious with it that he kicked Chris Eubank Jr. and his father out of the gym because he felt he'd been embarrassed by, you know, Junior's performance during sparring and how he dominated James Degale. So it'll be interesting to see how this all works out. I think it's going to be great in the long run. We're going to see, you know, I think we can get some real, you know, not just at super middleweight or at world level, but at a British boxing level, we can see some real good rivalries building out of this. And I'm looking forward to it. Whatever fight ends up happening is going to be great, because the build-up's going to be great, and, you know, it's going to be entertaining. And at the same time, the fights themselves, I think, will be great, because these are sort of fighters that do come to fight and put on a show. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.